there are easy claims for those who have been out 5, 10, 20 plus years. And I'm going to use PTSD as the example here because PTSD has its own procedural steps for service connection. And a lot of that is the in-service stressor, which can be medical evidence. It can also be an event. For most people, it's an event, right? And so you have, for instance, combat veterans with a combat action ribbon or a combat action badge or the combat infantry badge or whatever else they got out there. Boom, that's the in-service stressor. Evidence from service, you're good, right? You still need a current diagnosis. That's still going to be a thing. And then they'll go through the procedural steps of talking about PTSD and fear for your life, reoccurring thoughts, all that other stuff, okay? And so in some ways, PTSD for Vietnam era veterans is easy, right? In some ways, it's not. And when you're not diagnosed with PTSD, it takes away that stressor, and it could be depression, anxiety. Then it kind of goes back to the normal big three. And so that's what separates PTSD from being easy to mental health being hard. And again, we're talking about this bucket of everyone who's been out of service for more than 1 year. And I mentioned combat, but there's other stressors like PTSD due to MST. Obviously, that's going to have its own process, right? And same in-service stressor like events. Trained professionals are going to handle that claim. And then it's also stressors of, maybe you saw someone. I'll tell you a true story here. Maybe you saw someone kill themselves, right in front of you. That would be an event. You could find that person, that unit, that time somewhere, and then talk about that experience. You still need to be diagnosed with PTSD. And I just want to be very clear here. If 10 people see someone commit suicide, maybe 4 of them would have PTSD from it. The other 6 could be normal, whatever normal means, right? You would have 10 people experience combat. Maybe 5 or 6 of them would have PTSD. Maybe, person 7, 8, 9, and 10 are just crazy and they crave that stuff, right? So it's not, oh, this happened, I have PTSD. It's not the issue. This happened. Now I need to get diagnosed with PTSD. The diagnosis still is required. I think people miss that link sometimes. So I wanted to explain that. But yeah, in many ways, PTSD-like claims are easy for those who have been out for a long time. But on the other hand, when you're talking about depression and anxiety, it's, I would argue, more difficult, especially if you submit a claim for PTSD and that you're not diagnosed, because then those in-service stressors, you kind of take away that process. It's much more than that, but I just wanted to give a food for thought. And so that's why you'll see a lot of Vietnam era veterans, especially those with boots on the ground, so to speak, be service connected with PTSD fairly easily, 50, 60.
Right.
What's the math on that? Yeah, about 60 years ago, right? 60,
right.
70 years ago. So I want to add that there is a light at the end of the tunnel for claims that have a in-stressor service event.
And you're talking about stressors, and you're talking about tunnels, and you're talking about Vietnam. Good job, Clay.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot to tell the story. Yeah. So I do not have PTSD. This is a good example of me witnessing something and me not having PTSD from that. Now, I got some other stuff that happened at 10 years of service. We won't get into that story. But my first weekend in the fleet, the Marine Corps calls it the fleet, I'm on duty because my unit was in a field op when I got to the unit. So I missed a field op, right? Go me. Beautiful. It was cold too. Anyways, I'm in the bricks. One of these seniors, he had 2 Purple Hearts, 2 Iraq pumps. I think they just got back from Afghan. So 2 Iraq, 1 Afghan, 2 Purple Hearts, and he killed himself in the barracks. I am Private Sims, okay, in the duty hut of HP 125 and 3rd Battalion, 9th Marines. And I'm just sitting there. This dude kills himself. And I'm like, it's like 2 a.m. So the duty NCO, I have no idea where he was at. I'm brand new. I'm like, I don't know what to do. And so I talked to the OOD, the officer of the day or whatever. I forgot. I can't believe I remembered that. That's disgusting. But I went to the big duty, right? The big duty hut and said, hey, this guy just shot himself in the bricks. And that was insane. right? But that's a good example of like me seeing something, and that's not where my PTSD stems from, right? I'm probably more jacked up from being hazed than I was seeing that event. So it's not the same for everyone, is what I'm trying to say, right? Someone's experience in combat or witnessing an event is not someone else's experience. So the diagnosis is critical. And psychiatrists who deal with PTSD, they're going to know if you legitimately have PTSD or you have MDD or GAD or whatever. There's like a billion mental health conditions. That's the last thing I'll say on that note, Jason. I'll throw it to you.
All right. Thanks.
Sorry, that was a lot. I felt that was I'm tired of talking now.
Welcome to my world. Jeez.
Yeah.
All right. So how do I follow any of that up? All right. So let's kind of circle this back to conditions and stuff. So here is a story. I moved into a place. This is, I don't even know, 5 years ago or so. Moved into a place, a couple weeks in, and I've still told this story before, but for anybody who hadn't heard it, moved into place. And then, after about a week and a half or so, me and the next door neighbor guy both happened to be outside at the same time. So we start talking for a minute. He's an older guy, I don't know, three sentences in, I go, so do you ever serve? Because I like to just get to that to make sure I know who my neighbor is, right?
Yeah.
So he did. So I'm like, sweet, good. I did too. We got each other's backs. Everything's good. I watch your house, you watch mine, type of thing. And then it was, so what branch you serve in? Oh, I was in the Navy. Oh yeah, so where'd you go? And oh, he was Vietnam. Oh yeah, wow, welcome back, brother. He's like, yeah, it was rough. It's did the little boats, right? So the brown water stuff up and down the little rivers. And I'm like, oh God, no. Man, so we talked and I'm like, well, you're all squared away with the VA, right? Well, when I got out, I went to the VA here and, I went to go tell them I wanted to enroll or whatever I needed to do. And they said, I made too much money and basically told me to kick rocks. Like, okay. Wow, that sucks. So what you did was you went to the VHA, the Veterans Health Administration, and you said you wanted to enroll, and they thought you just wanted health care. And then they said you're working and you make too much money, you don't qualify, and off you went. But really what you wanted to do was go to the VBA and talk to them about filing a claim for anything you don't even know. Hey, look, I'm a new guy. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. What should I be filing for? And try to get some help to file a claim. Anyway, so long story short, I explained some of the presumptive conditions for Vietnam. He's like, oh, I got that. Oh, I got that. Oh, I got that. So, okay, good. I mean, not good, but welcome to this world.
Yeah,
Everything bad is good. It'll be good later. Let's get you squared away. And so, and then we talked about, maybe go to the vet center and have a conversation with some folks over there as well, right? And then got diagnosed for PTSD and all that. And then, got the claim filed, boom, claim comes back 80%, I think, out the gate. Then we went in for TDIU and bam. So in his mid 70s, right? So there is no age restrictions for filing a claim. There is no age restriction for TDIU. Look, there's people that work until they die. There's people that go to, they're the greeter at Walmart, right? Or whatever it is. So don't, again, self-segregate out of things because you think that they just don't do that, because you think that's the way the rule is. And don't feel guilty for taking advantage of the benefits that are there for you. The rules are written this way on purpose. They could have said, until age 65, you can file for this, or until this, or until that. They don't, for a reason. So utilize the benefits that are there. If you end up getting secondaries and finally getting your service connections and you get up to 60, 70, 80%, and it's inhibiting your ability to really work, consider having a conversation about going to TDIU, total disability, individual unemployability. I know it's a mouthful, but for those that don't know, essentially what they'll do is they will determine if you qualify, and if you do, they will pay you out at the 100% rate instead of whatever percentage you're at. So if you're at 60, 70, or whatever it is, they're going to boost you up. And that could be a couple $1,000s more per month in your pocket, tax-free money. So with that, back over to you, Clay, now that you've had a chance to take a breath, ready to hear more.
Yeah, no. So that was good. I think